Welcome to Life Rebounding. I want to continue to reflect on 1 Peter 1 verses 6 and 7, which read, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." Been using Margaret Silf's reflection, "Where I am, however unchosen by me," taken from her book Inner Compass, and just spinning it out a little bit to reflect thoughts about our faith and our walk with Jesus Christ. And as I think about where I am, however unchosen by me today, the way I'd like to fill that in today is, where I am, however unchosen by me, has been prepared by His hand and His grace from my first steps. And in brackets I put, He's not surprised with where I am. Now that may sound very similar to something I said a little earlier, but it's different in its own way. And this is what I'm getting at. I believe that God is sovereign. I also believe that I'm a free agent and I make decisions all the time about what color socks to wear, what shirt to wear, all that goes with that. But somehow, in the sovereignty of God and the free agency of humanity, He still is able to work His overarching plan. He still is sovereign, still is Lord of all, still always will be King of Kings. And as I think about where I am, however unchosen by me, I recognize that I don't get to where I am without His grace in my life, without Him having been a part of who I am and preparing the steps. Now, I'll take you back a few steps in my own life. I realized when I first turned my life over to Jesus Christ by faith that His hand had been on my life for a long time, long before I ever chose to serve Him. I began to realize that He had put things in place in my life that would steer me in a certain direction. And He had put things in place in my life that would set a course. And I realize now that those things He had done in love for me, guiding me because He loved me, cared for me just as He does for you. And He had a plan in mind. That's actually what He says in Romans chapter 28, is that He does have a plan. He's always working it all the time. And it's always a good plan. It might not always feel good to us, but it is always a good plan because it's working towards His glory and the greater conformity of our lives to His Son, Jesus Christ. And so when I think about where I am, however unchosen by me, that it's been a place prepared by His hand and His grace for my first steps, it's a recognition that I see God's hand having been on my life from beginning to end. There's a theme you find actually in the scriptures from the prophets and apostles of old who speak about God having known them before they were even formed in their mother's womb. And I don't want to stretch that too far, but what it does speak to me about is that God does have a plan, and that He knew me and He knows me better than I know myself, but He knew me from the beginning. He knows what the beginning of my life looks like. He knows what the middle of my life looks like. He knows what the end of my life looks like. And He is constantly at work in me. And He's constantly at work to use me and to use the gifts and the talents, the personality that I have for His honor and glory and for the building of His kingdom, to bless other people. But as I say, where I am, however unchosen by me, has been prepared by His hand and His grace for my first steps. It's a recognition that where I am today didn't surprise Him and doesn't surprise Him. Now I can say that where I am today surprises me. I grew up on an island in the east coast of Canada called Cape Breton. It's got its own microculture. It's different from Newfoundland. It's different from mainland Nova Scotia. It's its own unique culture, steeped in Celtic roots. That's where I grew up. And when I think about my upbringing and a lower middle class family in the East Coast, to where I am today and the things that I've been able to see and do, I am absolutely amazed at what has happened. And I know that absolutely none of it had anything to do with me. It had everything to do with God. He's not surprised with where you are, and He's not surprised with where I am. That means that He's been there all along, and He's with you now. And I just want to encourage you today that He's with you. He loves you, He cares for you, and He will continue to be with you. That's His promise. And so today, I hope that you can take some hope and encouragement from knowing that where you are isn't a surprise to God, but He looks at your life today still, and He smiles because of His deep love and affection for you. And may you feel that love and affection. May you feel the radiance of His smile upon your life today.